Hey guys, today we're going to do a video. It's one that you have asked for quite a few times. It's a really important topic, how to find a mentor. And what I mean by a mentor is somebody in your local community or in your local area that can actually help you do business, learn things that you need to. I know, YouTube's nice, the internet's nice, Discord's nice, Instagram, whatever social media programs you use to consume content, they're all nice. But it isn't as nice as having somebody that lives relatively close to where you are that can potentially help you in business. I know one of the biggest blessings of my life was to be able to share an office in real estate with the former CEO of an oil company. Real nice gentleman by the name of Norm. He retired from being the CEO of a local oil company for like 25 or 30 years. And for fun, he decided to get into real estate. And I had an office. Sometimes we were in the same office. Sometimes I was right next door to him. But he was my mentor for like 6 years. And he taught me so much about real estate and business, stuff that I never heard of before. Growing up poor, I always thought that rich people were kind of snobbish and never provided much benefit other than just, buying luxury items, yachts and things like that. But Norm, on the other hand, changed my total perspective of the idea of wealth. One Christmas, for instance, he told me that him and his wife had finally decided on what they were doing. So I figured, they would take a cruise or go to some sort of extravagant thing. And he said, no, we're going to provide scholarships for 10 kids this year. And I was like, and I knew the school that he was going to say, it was a private school. And I said to him, that's tens of thousands, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And he said, yeah, I know. But that's what we do every year. We we take part of our money that we've made this year and we give it to somebody. And this year we're going to give it to 10 kids and pay for their 1 year schooling, private schooling for each of them. And I was just blown away that this wealthy guy, former CEO, would do something like that. And I said, but what are you going to do for your wife? And he said, oh, we're going to go to some Italian restaurant in Columbus. And it was some dumpy little Italian place near downtown, like a hole in the wall. And he said, yeah, I'm going to really treat her right. We'll spend $35 on dinner for Christmas. But then they spent tens of thousands of dollars. And after hearing his perspective on that, I realized that, man, I need to be rich. I need to be wealthy. I need to be in real estate. Or I need to grow my real estate business so that I can be in that position later in life, being that CEO type guy, spreading money around, helping people that truly need it. And he spent months of research on who he felt best needed to help rather than just randomly throwing money at people, which is a lesson that I still have to learn. So knowing this guy, the former CEO, was a huge benefit to my life. Now, things have changed over the course of time, and I really don't get to spend any time with this gentleman whatsoever anymore. He's in his mid-70s now, maybe late 70s even. I'd have to look. But getting to know him was just one of the most wonderful things that ever happened in my life. And you, watching this, need to have somebody in your local community or a group of people that you can go to and rely on for good quality information. Rule number 1, they need to be where you want to be. You do not want to get a mentor or somebody to provide you life advice that sucks. And what I mean by that, there is such a guru type culture that we have. And it even permeates IRL, real life. There's a lot of people that hold themselves up to be smart and wealthy and rich and the bee's knees, let's say, that they're at some miraculous point in their life, and they're not. One of the skills that you have to develop, like right now, is to be able to determine the difference between someone who's legitimately wealthy and someone who is just flashy. Like I've said before, especially on our Discord channel, one of the wealthiest guys that I know drives a Hyundai. I know another guy he's doing okay, but he's not the guy that I would take all my life advice off of. He has 4 Corvettes. He just ordered, he's been on the reserve list for the new C8 Corvette, the mid-engine Corvette. It's going to be Corvette number 5. He shows up in nice Corvettes, has nice cars, has, a $100,000 truck. He's not the wealthy one of the group that I hang out with. The guy that shows up in the beat-up pickup truck is. Second wealthiest guy who drives a 1986 Toyota pickup truck. So some of the very wealthy guys that I know of here in Central Ohio, they do not live flashy at all. But when you sit down and you talk to them about life advice, how to make investments, It's amazing. So rule number one is you need to find somebody that's legitimately wealthy and not just somebody that's flashy. Rule number two, you have to be willing to help a mentor. And what I find is with most mentors, especially ones that are very well set up, that are older, they want to give you help. They want to help you, but you have to be able to return something. And usually for somebody that's in your 20s or early 30s, technology is the easier thing. I helped a guy set up a fake Facebook page. He wanted to be able to research tenants on social media, and he needed a Facebook account to do it. So I created a Facebook persona for him that he could log in with his mobile phone, and that he could go in and check on the social media profiles of some of his proposed tenants. He's very risk adverse. He owns ultra nice houses that would sell tomorrow as an auction or a fire sale for over $200,000, which is a lot of money here on a property. If you're living in California, it'd probably be like an $800,000 house. But he wanted to be able to have access to social media, specifically Facebook, to check in on some of his applicants. He had no clue how to do it. It takes 6 minutes to set up, 5 minutes to set up. So I've been able to set up stuff like that for him. He keeps buying me lunch every single time we go out. I've bought him lunch twice in life. He's bought me lunch probably 20 times. Relatively very, very well off, more knowledgeable than almost any human being I know about real estate. But as much knowledge and wisdom as he sows into my life, I have to be willing to help him out. I am ready and willing and able to help him out with technology or whatever it is. He calls me in the middle of the night, I am going to help him. So that's rule number two. You have to be willing to help somebody else. Rule number three, if you find a mentor, do not act like you know everything. And this, it blows my mind. A real quick story about my buddy Sean. He hired a guy as kind of like a mentee. And this is a great example of what you never do. He hired a guy to do painting in his rentals. And the guy came to him and said, hey, look, I'm a manager of a local well-known restaurant. I want to get into real estate investing. I want to be able to be like you and own rental properties and flip houses. I want that to be the life that I have. And Sean said, all right, sure. You want to paint houses for me? I'll pay you $12 an hour, and then we're going to drive around. We're going to look for deals, and I'll show you how to get into real estate with almost no money. What you need to do right now, start saving any money that I pay you. He was working in evenings, painting houses for Sean, doing drywall work. Every dollar that I pay you, start saving it right now. Save your money. And so this gentleman started working for Sean. He worked for him a couple months. And then Sean said, hey, we've got a local real estate investors association. I want you to come here and I want you to meet my friends. Maybe you can help them paint and do work for them. So then you are getting a broad group of knowledge as opposed to just my perspective, Sean's perspective on real estate. And after a couple months, he finally came to our Real Estate Investors Association. And I asked Sean, I said, how's it working out for you? And he said, he's starting to really slack off on his painting jobs. He's not showing up on time. I'm feeling really bad. I've taken him. We've looked at a couple houses, some really good, deals, $20,000, $30,000 houses, which when Sean looks at a $20,000 or $30,000 house, it is a freaking steal. And I showed these houses to him. He wasn't super interested. So we had our real estate investor meeting. He walks up to the second largest landlord in the county and says, hey, I want to hear about your story. I hear that you have one of the most wonderful, crazy real estate stories ever. The real estate investor says, sure, let me tell you a little bit about my life. My mom was a heroin addict. Between being born and 18, we were evicted no less than a dozen times. He doesn't know how many times he was evicted, but it was enough that all through middle school and high school, he never kept his possessions in a dresser. He kept everything he owned in 2 or 3 large trash bags because he figured his mom was going to get evicted any day now. So instead of the sheriffs throwing his possessions out in the street, all he had to do was grab garbage bags and he could walk out of the house because that was his life. That was his upbringing. His dad walked out on him when he was very early in life, single parent household. And He just was evicted all these times, a heroin addict mom. And he started off and he said, here's what I did. I saved up $5,000. Every single cent that I had, I saved up because I didn't want to have this lifestyle for myself. I wanted to save it. And side note, this guy owns a hotel and 123 rentals, so he's doing pretty well. And he said, so I saved up my money and I went to an auction. I bought the dumpiest, crappiest house. It took me 1 or 2 years, a couple years to save up $5,000. And we're talking in the early 90s, so $5,000 was a little bit more, it's worth a little bit more back then, but still wasn't anything great. And he said, I saved up $5,000 and I bought the dumpiest house in the dumpiest neighborhood. And he rattled off the address of the house, and it's next to some of mine, and it was a terrible house, a terrible neighborhood. But he saved up $5,000 and he bought it. And for the next 6 months, he worked on it. And he said, after that point, I put a tenant in it and I rented it out for $400. In the first year, I was almost able to repay my entire investment. I had to keep throwing the money that I was saving into the rehab, but I still got it done. That was like 90 or 91 that he bought his first rental property. Then the next year, I cash out, refinance the property. He took that property to a bank, asked them to loan him money. They gave him like $10,000 or $15,000. He went out and bought 2 more rentals. So it took him another year. And after 2 or 3 years, he had 3 rentals. And then he said, at that point, I was making about $1,200 or so per month in rental income. And he said, I felt like I had accomplished it. And then I started rolling over that money. And then he proceeded to give this guy a really nice plan on what he should be doing, because he was only making $13 as middle management at a local restaurant. And the guy's reaction was the reaction that you never want to have for a line item 3. He said, I don't want to do that. He said, I want to buy houses up here on the hill near the college. And if you would know where my laundromat is, there's a really nice subdivision on the top of this giant hill near the college. And the guy said, what are you talking about? I don't know how to tell you how to start your real estate investing business buying houses in really nice subdivisions near colleges. All I know how to tell you how to do things are if you could start off life poor, I can tell you how to be rich. So the real estate investor with 123 rentals walked off after giving this guy a 15 to 20 minute summation of his life, his struggles, and how he went from being dirt poor, broke, to being a multimillionaire as it stands now. And the guy's debt free. He has 123 rentals, no loans. And the guy said, well, I don't want to do it that way. I want to buy houses. I want to buy really nice houses and flip them. And it's amazing that someone would sit down and ask for advice from a relatively well-off person who had started life off in a very poor position, being evicted so many times, the son of a drug addict, and just throw that wisdom out of the door and say, well, I don't like that advice. I don't want to have to save up $5,000 to buy a dumpy house. I don't want to have to work on the house. I just want to buy it and hire a crew and flip houses. And the thing is, you have to be willing to take advice from a mentor, regardless of what it is. Now, rely on the earlier rule that says you have to find somebody that's quality, somebody that's in a position in life that's truly wealthy and not just flashy with the Ferrari and the bookshelf of books, reading a book a day. That's not the kind of person you want to hang around. So now that we've got the 3 rules out that are kind of my base foundation, how do you find somebody that's going to mentor you? And there's a lot of ideas, and generally I've kind of done one-on-one Zoom type meetings back and forth with people. Oh yeah, if you like this kind of content, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. I'm doing more cerebral content like this on a regular basis. If you want even longer, even more cerebral content on like how I set up my social media strategy for Facebook, how I get other people to share my my content for free. I don't spend any money on advertising. I also did one on how to make a business plan that will attract investment. Do that at investmentjoy.com/teach. It's below. And also, big shout out, you can still get free stocks on Webull up to $1,400 by signing up an account and depositing some money. The Webull link will be in the description along with the investmentjoy.com/teach. So now, back to your regularly scheduled program. I can't even keep my words straight. So, There's a couple ideas on getting a mentor. One thing that I'm a really big fan of is like the old fashioned clubs. Now, if you're a female or whatnot, these kinds of clubs are a little bit harder to find for women. That's just how it is. Some of them are open to women. A lot of them are open to men. So if you're a younger man, this is prime. This is the only idea that I have, but it's prime. Like here in Central Ohio, we have the Moose Club, the Elks Club, Masons, International Association of Odd Fellows. There's all of these civic organizations, the Lions, the Rotary Club. Rotary's great. Big idea there for women because they are mixed gender. So you've got these old clubs, and they are dying for young people to get in them. Rotary is probably my number one suggestion out of those. And there are people that are dying to get young people involved, and most of them are older and wealthy. I've been to a few Rotary groups, and it was like doing a checklist of who's who. Bank executives, mortgage brokers, real estate agents, CEOs of large Fortune 500 companies, executives at the local hospital. They all attend Rotary. And now the thing is, you can't show up to those things and say, hey, I'm just here to take knowledge from you guys. You have to go to these organizations and say, hey, look, I'm younger, which most of you that watch my YouTube content are. I'm younger. I want to help you with your problems, because if you have access to a cell phone and the internet, I'm sure you can help them with their problems. I want you to help me, and I want to help you. It's got to be a two-dimensional, a multi-directional. You can't just go in and say, gimme, gimme, gimme. You're going to have to help people, and it's going to be terrible. You're going to have to go out and help. I know. Volunteer. They will need you to volunteer, and you have to help. And volunteer positions are something you should be doing anyway. You'll always find somebody that's in a much worse position off in your life, and helping people that are disadvantaged is a wonderful, wonderful thing that everybody should be doing. But anyway, you can go to those organizations like Rotary, Oddfellows, Moose Elks. There's all sorts of different fraternal organizations all across the United States that need young people, and young people have no interest in them. One of the worst things that's happening in society right now, because there is so much wisdom and knowledge for a younger person to glean off of the older and established people. Now, those relationships might not exist solely out of a fraternal organization, but you can make connections there. You are going to have to learn to talk to people. You are going to have to put yourself out there. And even though you might consider yourself an introvert, that you don't like talking to people, that you feel unskilled in communications, I promise you that you can do it. You can do it, because I was that way too. When I have a twin brother. His name's Ben. When I got involved in a youth group, a local church youth group, for several years, they said, we don't know the difference between Ben and Brandon. See, we're twins, and at that point, my brother did not have a beard. And no one could tell the difference because we looked alike and we acted alike. And at that point, I decided, I'm going to learn to talk to people. I'm going to learn to be outgoing and have fun and do that kind of things. At that point, I was much more introverted than I am today. So I promise you, if you feel introverted and you don't like talking to people, it is possible to break out of that shell. It's just something you have to invest time in. With effort, I promise you that you can do anything you set your mind to. It's just going to take time and effort, and you might have to, I would love for you to be on my Discord, but you might have to get off the computer once in a while and network with people. The second organization that I would absolutely recommend that you find is a local real estate investors association. They're called REIAs, REIAs. It's where people involved in real estate and connected businesses meet. I, for 2 years, served as the president of the Scioto Valley Real Estate Investors Association, a wonderful organization. Columbus, Ohio has like 4 now. They've got CREAM and COREE, and then they got the Columbus REIA Association. They are all over. They are they tend to be in larger towns. I guess in southern Ohio, there's only two, one in Chillicothe and one down around like Ironton or somewhere. And Chillicothe, or southern Ohio, is a very large region of the state of Ohio, and they only have two. So you might have to drive a little bit to find one. But I know the value that I personally have got from our local investor association is just mind-blowing. The amount of money that I've made, I've sat down and thought about it. One year I made $500,000 in equity just off the personal relationships that I have with people and the negotiation tactics and just things that I've learned from the local real estate investors association. So in between those two sources, RIAs and local fraternal civic organizations, I would bet money right now. I'm not going to do it because I don't know how many people are going to watch this video. But I would bet money, I would bet my career off of between those two things, you can find not one, but two or three wonderful mentors that wants to invest their time into your life, as long as you invest a little bit of your time into their life and help them with their problems. Glean knowledge off of them so that you can be the person that you want to be able to buy properties. I got a picture of my dad here. The reason he's up on Discord is because he never really, at least from when I dissect his life, he passed away 3 years ago. When I sit back and look at his life and the things that he struggled with, read some of the things he wrote about, I don't know that my dad ever had a really good mentor. He had a lot of good people in his life, but he didn't have too many people that were far beyond where he was in life and had kind of were able to guide him to find the answers that he needed. With his career, with the things that he struggled with. And it's very hard to go about anything in life unless you know people that are ahead of you. There's a statistic that says that if you want to be something, you need to get around those people. And I hate to break it to you, and this is something that I'm sure I would lose subscribers over, but if the kind of people that you hang around with all the time are people of the rock, unfortunately, you will become one of those people of the rock. If all the people that you hang around with are wealthy entrepreneurs, you'll become one. If all the people that you hang around with are gamers, you're going to be a gamer. And I'm not saying there's anything bad with gaming, but if you want to be something, you spend your time around those people. I find that whoever I spend my time around, I tend to become. And I love spending time with older people that are wealthy, that are wise, that are successful. I sit down with some of my tenants, and I have some wonderful, awesome tenants. I've got Miss Janet that's lived in my rentals, one of my rentals since 1979. Oh, she's lived in the same rental that I have. It's older than I am. Wonderful tenants. But I also have some other tenants that are recovering addicts that are probably currently people of the rock that I'm trying to get out of there. And when I sit down and they ask me, how do I fix things in my life? How do I become the person that I want to be? My recommendation is always to be around the kind of people that you wish to aspire to be. And most of the people that are struggling with those issues, they don't take me up on those suggestions. It's easier to be around people they're comfortable with rather than get out of their comfort zone and be around people that are pushing them for more success, pushing them to be better people, pushing them to be the people that they want to be rather than the people that they are. And you will find quickly that if you are around wealthy entrepreneurs, they will freaking push you. And it's a good thing, but it's uncomfortable. And people a lot of times tend to want to be comfortable rather than push out. But hey, you're watching an educational video rather than a cat meme video or TikToks. Nothing against TikToks, but they are what they are. So once again, this is Brandon with Investment Joy. I hope you appreciated this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. Go and binge watch all my videos. That would be cool too. I want to help grow the channel. And we've got some really great community projects that I am doing in my area, and you guys are a part of them because you watch my videos and you have not installed ad blocker or you turn them off on my video. We've got, like I said, we've got a couple great community projects I'm working on right now. So be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. All right.